Tonight on the Barbara Walters Special.
I have more money than my grandchildren's grandchildren can spend. I have a wonderful home. I have my family. I've got my daughter. I've got my wife. What are you going to take away from me?
What do you think the odds are of you winning?
I don't know what the odds are, but I looked at all the films. I've seen all the competition. And I know where I stand.
Where do you stand? It's just us. Who's going to listen?
Who's going to listen?
Al Pacino's not listening.
Sex scenes take forever to shoot. I mean, those couple of sex scenes, we spent 10 days shooting.
10 days of sex scenes in the nude.
Yeah, that's my job.
Good evening. When we began these Academy Award night specials 12 years ago, the three people you're about to see were struggling unknowns. What happened to them over the past few years is nothing short of remarkable. And the same can be said of this place. This is the recently restored El Capitan Theater on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles. The Walt Disney Company put up much of the money for the restoration, and earlier this year you could have seen their hit, Aladdin. But if you came here in 1941, you would have witnessed history with the premiere of Orson Welles' masterpiece, Citizen Kane. Tonight we bring you three people who are just entering the entertainment history books after coming off the ride of their lives. An enormous star, the #1 singer in America. No, not Michael Jackson. Actually, he sold more records in the United States last year than Michael Jackson and Madonna. His name is Garth Brooks, and you'll shortly see why he is #1. Denzel Washington, nominated tonight for Best Actor for his portrayal of Malcolm X. Totally honest. Does he think he should win? Well, he thinks it should be between him and possibly one other guy. And Sharon Stone, the biggest new star after her sizzling performance in Basic Instinct, and probably at this point the sexiest woman on film, and maybe off. Outspoken, outrageous, and I thought outstanding. All three of these stars are experiencing new power, the power of performance, influence, and sex. Garth Brooks, Denzel Washington, Sharon Stone, center stage.
The Barbara Walters Special, brought to you by the Century 21 system. When you want the best, discover the power of #1. And Lincoln Mercury and the complete line of Lincoln luxury automobiles.
Hey, listen to this. Dear Century 21, when we met Pat,
I was 9 months pregnant. We had just relocated from Los Angeles. Pat was wonderful. She helped us get acquainted with the area and helped me feel at ease about having my baby so far from home.
A recent survey named Century 21 #1 in customer service. But people like Pat don't have to read a survey, just their mail.
Nice work, Pat.
Century 21. Nobody works harder. Nobody cares more.
Someone said recently that my hair is so gorgeous, she wants it. I'm not one to hold back. I told her exactly how to get it. Preference by L'Oreal. It gives me glorious, shining color and conditions like crazy. I think being direct is a virtue. And the most direct way to beautiful hair is to say, and don't be shy about it, I'm worth it. Very good.
Rich Conditioning Preference by L'Oreal.
Naturally, we'd like you to think of Lincoln as a leader in automotive safety. But just to be fair, here's a list of all luxury manufacturers who offer standard dual airbags and ABS on every car they make. Now, where were we?
Imagine what would happen if modern man found the way to recreate the oldest and greatest species to ever roam the earth.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
On June 11th.
Hey, look at this.
Universal Pictures presents
Can I touch it?
a Steven Spielberg film, an adventure 65 million years in the making. Jurassic Park. The gates open June 11th.
The wait is almost over.
I'm back.
Tonight, Billy Crystal hosts the Academy Awards live.
You said, honey, we may be through, but you'll never hear me complain. Oh, I got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blue away. And I'll be okay.
If you hear the song once, you're hooked. Friends in Low Places is downright uplifting. When Garth Brooks performs it on stage, it's like the rafters are giving way and the audience has two options: run for your lives or enjoy the show. The choice is obvious. Six years ago, he was selling cowboy boots in Nashville. Today, he is the top-selling recording artist in the country, and Garth Brooks is just getting started.
Deep within my heart lies a melody.
That's Garth's mom back in 1955. Pauline was a local country singer while his father, Troyle, held down a job in the oil patch in Yukon, Oklahoma. Garth, the youngest of 6 kids, was a jock and a straight arrow. After graduating from Oklahoma State University with a degree in advertising, he grabbed his guitar and headed for Nashville.
Sometimes late at night, I lie awake and watch her sleeping.
4 quick years later, he released the fastest debuting album in country music, and his single, If Tomorrow Never Comes, went to the top of the charts. 5 albums later, he is #1 by a country mile. But why? The music wasn't dramatically different, just dramatic.
Our lives are better left to chance.
But the music is only half the story. On stage, he's, well, shameless. Not content to simply stand and strum, Garth delivers the sort of intensity usually reserved for heavy metal concerts. He is still surrounded by people he's known since childhood, including his brother, who handles his business, and his sister, who plays bass in his band, Stillwater. His albums now debut at the top of both the country and pop charts. And Garth has taken home every configuration of steel and glass award currently handed out by the music industry.
And the Entertainer of the Year is Garth Brooks.
So things are perfect. Well, not quite. He has talked openly of the near collapse of his marriage due to his infidelity on the road. As a result, he has spoken of retiring and worries constantly about the toll of his work on his wife, Sandy, and new baby girl, Taylor. He has seen emotional days, many of them played out on the public stage.
Being out on the road and making decisions like that, you've been a damn good friend to me, Sandy. Thanks for standing beside me.
The thunder rolls and the lightning strikes.
And certainly by Nashville standards, his music is dangerous. The video for his song, The Thunder Rolls, was banned from the 2 country cable channels because of its violent nature. And his recent tune, We Shall Be Free, makes an open plea for tolerance towards homosexuals.
We're free to love anyone we choose when this world's big enough for all different views.
Is this where you walked the first day you came here to Nashville?
Yeah, way down there.
It has all come to him so quickly. Today, at age 31, he walks down Music Row in Nashville, surrounded by record companies that rejected him only a few years ago. His business has run out of this pink Victorian, and Garth will gladly tell you that the driving force behind his dream is his wife, Sandy. He met her when he was working as a bouncer in a bar back in Oklahoma. He had to throw out a lot of spirited people. One of them became his wife.
To me, I'm still the little girl back in Owasso, Oklahoma, that was very simple.
And fell in love with a guy with a beard who could sing a little.
I fell in love with a guy that actually had nothing. I mean, the man's truck didn't even run when I met him.
How's that look?
Looks good.
Is this me?
Thank you.
As they say, is this me? Garth has just closed a record deal that places him in a league with Michael Jackson. But unlike Mr. Jackson, he must remain accessible, whether it's providing fans with a high-quality, low-cost T-shirt or playing for scale at the Grand Ole Opry. At his suggestion, we talked at Nashville's famous Bluebird Cafe, the tiny club where he was first discovered when he filled in for another act that didn't show. You have been such a huge success in a relatively short time. And you say yourself that you don't play the guitar that well, that you're kind of bow-legged, that you got a few too many chins. If you take the hat off, it isn't the greatest head of hair. If you looked at yourself objectively, okay?
If I looked at myself objectively, no. I mean, if you want, it'll take 5 minutes. I'll take you down Music Row, and we'll see 10 people more talented, better looking, that sing better, that are a lot better built. And it's, I mean, you can go down the checklist.
Yeah.
With me, I've got to pull every trick I know out of the hat because I want these people to crawl out of this place. I want them to be exhausted, and I want them to feel what I'm feeling.
What are you feeling?
Oh, I haven't found a better word for it, so please excuse me for what I'm about to say. It's sex. It's just 1,000 miles an hour. It's the wildest thing, and then in the flip of a heart, it goes to this nice, tender, soft thing. And you find everybody leaning in, and all of a sudden it's just bam, bam, bam. I wish there was some way you could step inside and see what it is you see. There are times actually when I swear to God to you that you could just fly. It's so cool. It's all the things that you've always wanted to cut loose and let loose and just fly that you never thought you could do, but it actually happens.
I can see why you describe it as sex.
Oh, it is wonderful. It's very addictive, too.
Yet, a year ago, you were talking about retiring.
Right.
That's what was, that's what we read.
Yeah, I just had a year which I was very confused about a lot of things. And I was going at things about 50 miles an hour. I couldn't get out of the straps. And now, with everything going as flawless as it is with my daughter and my wife and I gotta tell you, I feel 10 times stronger than I've ever felt.
But why did you think of stepping out
Well,
of the ring and then get on with it?
because something more important than music came up, and that was a child.
And you were afraid you couldn't do the music and have the child? Why not?
Because I've never been any good at doing anything more than just music.
But did you feel you had to stay home with the child all the time?
Sure. I mean,
in other words, if you were going to have a child, you didn't want to sing anymore?
Well, if I have a child, which I do, then I am a father. Nothing is equal or above that.
So you were going to stop working because you were going to have the baby? Because your wife is going to have the baby?
All I know is what my father was to me. And my father was opportunity to me. My father was always there. My mom was always there. Parents were always there. And that's what I must be for my child.
You're going to go on a tour, and you're going to take Sandy and the baby.
August through December. If Taylor doesn't seem to handle it fine, then probably my hardest day of my life is awaiting me.
When you'd have to say, no touring, I'm just going to stay home.
Yeah.
Garth, when you had the problems with Sandy early in your marriage, and you've talked about this, when you were unfaithful, when there were lots of women and stuff, what did you learn from all of that?
Stay clean, stay straight, and know when in an hour and a half, that's when you take the rule book.
Yeah, when you're on that stage. Anything goes when you're on that stage.
Anything goes.
And off the stage, it's real life.
Right. And if you cross the bounds when you're on stage, you apologize to those you hurt.
That's interesting.
I've been very fortunate in the last 2 or 2.5, which has been the last 2 years, not to come off and apologize to my wife for something that I did.
What was the lowest point for you?
I guess you'd probably go back to when playing Cape Girardeau, Missouri. This is when Sandy found out about everything we'd been doing. And I went out there and...
Found out that there had been other women.
And it was the last show of the week, and we went out there, and I got through the first 3 songs fine, and then If Tomorrow Never comes up. And I remember going, sometimes late at night, I lie awake and watch her sleeping. And it just, there wasn't anything else. There was nothing left. I was inside out. The band kept playing. They didn't know what to do, and I asked them to stop, and they didn't. And I asked them to stop again, and they did. This place was silent. What you're hearing now is more noise than what I heard. And I remember walking out, and the applause was there, a different kind of applause, almost like a support applause. And over all of this, I heard one woman. I don't know where she is, don't know who she is, what she looks like. And all she said was, go home to her, Garth. That's all I heard.
Mm-hmm. Your song, We Shall Be Free, speaks of freedom to love anyone you choose.
Right.
Not just color, but some have interpreted it to mean that gays can love each other and shall be free and not criticized. Did you think of that? Was that part of that song?
I thought of it, yes, I did. Simply because it's a known fact from the tabloids and everything that my sister is homosexual. I love my sister to death. And I'm sorry, I just can't condemn somebody for being happy and loving someone else. I'm sorry. You can call me bad, you can, I've been called everything from Judas to Brutus because of this song. And I just gotta say, man, I'm sorry if you think loving somebody is a crime.
You're unusual in a world in which many, certainly on their way up, many performers play it very safe. What's going to be the most commercial song? You know, what's going to be the one that's going to make everybody love me?
Why do they play it safe? Why do you think?
What do you think?
I would think a lot of it would be so they could keep doing what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I have more money than my grandchildren's grandchildren can spend. I have a wonderful home. I have my family. I've got my daughter. I've got my wife. What are you going to take away from me?
Mm-hmm. So are you at a crossroads at this point?
I have went past the crossroads, and my evaluation is still the same. Nothing equals, nothing is higher than a father, a parent, to a child.
So?
So now the child goes with dad, and mom goes with dad out on the road. And if it works, there is no bounds. There is nothing that can't be done.
So tell that someone that you love just what you're thinking of. If tomorrow never comes.
Introducing the 32-valve, 280 horsepower Lincoln Mark 8. And the only interior that can keep up with it. Drive the new Lincoln Mark 8, but drive everything else first. The new Lincoln Mark 8. What a luxury car should be.
Hey, listen to this. Dear Century 21, when we met Pat,
I was 9 months pregnant. We had just relocated from Los Angeles. Pat was wonderful. She helped us get acquainted with the area and helped me feel at ease about having my baby so far from home.
A recent survey named Century 21 #1 in customer service. But people like Pat don't have to read a survey, just their mail.
Nice work, Pat.
Century 21. Nobody works harder. Nobody cares more.
Sam here.
is giving me enough good reasons to use my Dirt Devil hand vac, but now he's giving me 5 more. When they turn the house upside down, I turn on my Dirt Devil. Its powerful revolving brush tears into dirt, chews up crumbs, and picks up pet hair. It has an extra long cord, and it's lightweight. So, I'd say my Dirt Devil is the pick of the litter. Right, Sam? Right. Get a Dirt Devil and put the power of an upright in the palm of your hand.
I had worked so hard and waited so long for this day. My own class, my name on the blackboard. But what I didn't count on was a terrible headache. That's when I reached for my Tylenol.
Now more than ever, more people turn to Tylenol for powerful pain relief.
The Tylenol worked. The day was like a dream.
Extra strength Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
What's it like sharing a house with your mom, your sister, and her 2 kids?
Clear the way, the pizza's on me.
Matt, I want them to have a balanced meal.
Oh, me too. So I got half sausage and half pepperoni.
It's the premiere of Home Free, Wednesday right before Home Improvement.
The Barbara Walters special will continue in a moment.
This land was his land, but the government wanted it bad. How bad?
They were going to use any means they could to get it.
2020 investigates.
My husband was murdered right in front of me.
What really happened 2020 Friday.
There is a place in every city and every town where those who are drawn to the cutting edge seem to gather. And the pull is magnetic. There is a sound that you can expect to hear above the music and over the heated conversation. It's the sound of German being spoken by those whose passion is to live life. In your town, America, and the world, Beck's, the #1 imported German beer.
Well, what do you think?
I think I feel safe in that car.
What about the money?
What about the lease?
Yeah, it's a good lease. Can you really see us in a Mercedes?
Definitely.
The win-win lease is available on selected Mercedes-Benz models. Visit your authorized Mercedes dealer for details.
Is there a compromise on the gays and the military issue? After the awards.
You may commence.
I'm going to be me as I am, and you can beat me or jail me or even kill me. But I am not going to be what you want me to be. I'm a black man born and raised in Mississippi. Ain't a damn thing you can tell me about struggle.
What do you know about my...
No, I know. I know.
You're not an American. You're an African who happens to be an American. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Stop and think about it. Who else could have played the controversial African-American leader, Malcolm X? For over a decade, Denzel Washington has expressed the rage and reality of people of color around the world. He's chosen the parts, but not the pressure. That has come in its own, and certainly would have been unforeseen early on. He grew up just a short commuter train ride from New York City, in the town of Mount Vernon. His father preached at the Pentecostal church, while his mother struggled to keep Denzel and his brother and sister on the straight and narrow. His parents divorced when he was 14, and after attending a mostly white prep school, Denzel enrolled in Fordham University in the Bronx. During a hiatus at a youth camp, he discovered theater. His rendition of Othello at Fordham got the attention of actor Jose Ferrer and various talent agents. And at age 22, he was cast in the TV movie Wilma.
You know I love you, babe.
Also in the film was actress Pauletta Pearson.
Yes, honey.
She had a small part in the movie, but would soon become the leading lady in his life. They married 6 years later. It wasn't television, however, that honed his instincts and kept him alive in the lean years. It was New York's thriving black theater. In 1981, he played Malcolm X for the first time off-Broadway in When the Chickens Came Home to Roost. Later that year, he landed his first feature.
Hi, Daddy.
The only good thing you can say about Carbon Copy is it got Denzel a 6-year job on television's St. Elsewhere.
I hated every minute I was at this hospital.
Denzel played a black doctor who was uncomfortable being black and a doctor. This sort of complex character was to become the norm for him as he crossed over permanently into the world of feature films.
You know, I seen him before. Yeah, we had him in Alabama. White man give him a little ass job as a servant. Then when the boss ain't looking, that old copycat nigga act like he the new boss.
It started with a soldier story, a whodunit in which Denzel ultimately did it. Then he played South African freedom fighter Stephen Biko in the film Cry Freedom. Everything, it seems, was a path to glory. Glory was an ensemble movie about a black regiment that fought during the Civil War. Denzel played a secondary character, but his defiance drives the film. 3 years ago, he took home an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, ran away when I was 12 years old. I ain't never looked back.
What you doing since then?
I run for president. I ain't win, though.
He has been a leading man ever since, whether in modest films like Mississippi Masala or epics like Malcolm X, for which he is nominated tonight for Best Actor.
Let the black man separate from his house. Let the black man have his own house. Let the black man have his own land and his own property.
Denzel and his wife Pauletta have now been together for over 15 years. They have 4 children, including the birth nearly 2 years ago of twins.
What am I doing wrong? You have to aim. Okay.
Children, it seems, are a priority. He devotes time and money to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, including this one in South Central Los Angeles. The sign above the door warns against the wearing of gang clothes and colors. Inside, Lou Dantzler runs the Challengers Club, a safe atmosphere for studying math and art or teaching a novice like me how to shoot a basketball. It was here, nestled amongst welcome signs, that we talked. An Academy Award nomination. Does that thrill you? Do you say, yeah, it would be nice, but what?
You know, at the risk of sounding egotistical, I expected to get nominated. I didn't, you know, I would have been very surprised if I wasn't. But to be very honest, I would like to win.
Yeah. Like to win. What do you think the odds are of your winning?
I don't know what the odds are, but I looked at all the films. I've seen all the competition, and I know where I stand. I heard someone say it's a close race. I heard it today. I think they said it was a close race between Clint Eastwood and Al Pacino. Hey, I love Clint Eastwood. Nothing against Clint Eastwood. And Clint Eastwood has put in his time. And I think he deserves to win Best Director or whatever because he's put in his time. I would have something to say if he won. I'm not knocking the man, and he's great. He's great, and I've loved his movies and all of that. But, you know, I'm an actor. I know what I like, and I've seen all the films.
So as far as you're concerned, it's Al Pacino or Denzel Washington. Where do you stand? It's just us. Who's going to listen?
Who's going to listen?
Al Pacino's not listening.
Let me say this, you know, I'm amazed he hasn't won. And I had to say to myself, if I was nominated 8 times and I hadn't won, would I be screaming racism, and would everybody else be screaming racism? And what does he scream?
If you don't win, will you say racism?
No.
Okay. No. But Spike Lee was not nominated for Best Director, and Malcolm X was not nominated for Best Picture. And boy, it's an awful powerful picture.
Let me tell you, Barbara, I've been in 4 films that have had multiple nominations. I believe 4. Soldier Story, Cry Freedom, Glory, Malcolm X. You can add to that some other films with black themes, Color Purple, and I believe also Driving Miss Daisy. I believe, I'm not sure about my statistics here, but in none of those films was a director nominated.
But the films were.
and the director wasn't.
But the fact
What
that
does
the
that mean?
film, what does it mean? Well,
It means the movies made themselves. You tell me what it means. It's an interesting pattern.
so what do you think it means?
Well, you know.
Is it just that they don't like Spike Lee, or is it that it's...
Well, I know
some
people
are
don't like
saying?
him. He's given people a reason not to like him, you know. He's given people a reason not to like him. But I'll say this about Spike. Spike has put more African Americans to work in the film industry than anyone else in the history of the film industry. Anyone. Anybody want to dispute that? Tell them to call me up.
Your own childhood. I'd read something in which you said that some of the kids you grew up with were in prison today, or were dead today.
Yeah.
Why not you?
I was just very, very lucky. And I had more to lose at home than I did in the street. I had more at stake at home.
You mean your mother?
My
You
mother.
didn't have to worry about being killed in the street. Your mother would kill you, right?
My mother, I thought her purpose in life was to just embarrass me. She'd come get me on the street at any time, in front of anybody. I was playing basketball in the playground. And everybody knew that, you know, I had to be home a little earlier and that my mother was always on my case. And so she came to get me and they were like, yo, D, your mom is here, man, you know. So I was like, oh, boy. So she's sitting here in the driver's seat, I'm here. All the kids are over there on the other side of the fence watching. And I'm just playing it as if nothing's going on. I mean, she's screaming at me, going crazy. So I turned to the kids and just looked like, you know, Mom. And as I was turning around, a hand was coming. Pow! And I just remember going down under the dashboard. Just had my head down. I said, Mom, just drive, please. Just
take me home.
Because I knew if I stood up and looked back out, everybody was probably on the ground, you know, crying and laughing. But, you know, I don't want to say who's laughing now, but I know that she never gave up on me. Never gave up on me. And she had a lot of reason to. You know, I got kicked out of college, too. She did the same thing.
What did you do when they kicked you out?
Just no focus.
But, I mean, how did you get back in again?
I took a semester off and started reading acting books. That's when I got into acting.
While we were talking about strong women, your private life is private, and you've got all these little kids, twins. One named Malcolm, after Malcolm X? No?
No, after my wife's cousin, Malcolm.
Fun? 4 little kids? Yeah. Aren't you glad to have a day off and just sit here and ask questions?
Well, listen, my wife, you know, is the backbone of our family, you know, and I'm wise enough to admit that.
You speak so lovingly of your wife. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to come back in 5 years and find out that you're not together. I got to have a little faith in someone.
I'd never leave my wife, you know, and you know, I may give her a reason to leave me, but I'll never leave her. I won't leave her. No. We've known each other too long. We've been through too much, you know, and being a star and all of that, temptation's all around. Mm-hmm. It's all around, you know, and I haven't been perfect. I'll be quite candid about it. And
what do you mean?
Well, I just, you know, we've gone through ups and downs, and we're still together, you know, and we're best friends.
Mm-hmm. When we talk about parts, most people don't know that your first, I guess that was the first play that came to people's notice, was
Right.
Malcolm X.
Right.
It wasn't called Malcolm X.
It was called When the Chickens Came Home to Roost.
Yeah, a Malcolm X line.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I remember flipping through the script and saying, okay, there's Malcolm's in there a lot. That could be a good part. I mean, that was...
No idea who he was, really, just it was
Not
a good
really.
meaty part.
I found out, though,
In doing the play?
in doing the play, yeah.
Did it change you then?
Well, yes, immediately. And I think that, and again, I have to quote Malcolm X, you know, if you've been taught your entire life that you haven't done anything, that's what I've been taught in public schools. I wasn't taught anything about anybody African. So basically, I was taught I didn't do anything. Fact of the matter is, there's a heck of a lot of things we've done. That's one of the lessons I learned from Glory. It was never taught to me that 180,000 black men and women fought in the Civil War. How can that not be taught in public schools my whole lifetime?
So what you try to do, it starts with self-esteem, thinking good of yourself.
Right.
But while we are talking about this business of self-esteem, then I get back to you. And that is, do you therefore as one of the handful of really very successful African-American actors, feel that you must be a role model, must take particular kind of roles, that you're not free just to, I don't know, you know, do song?
There's a pressure there. It's interesting, you know, but, you know, when you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud, too, right?
And Denzel, if you don't win that Academy Award for Best Actor, what will you say to yourself?
What will I say to myself, or what will I say about others?
Okay. First, give me what you say about, I'm so proud to be a part of this group, or what? Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of sentiment for Al Pacino because he's never won before. So when I look at Al Pacino, and I know he's been nominated 8 times, and I know he's one of the reasons I became an actor. You know, when I look at Pacino and De Niro and Hoffman and James Earl Jones, those are the people I said, I want to be like them. When I didn't know what an actor was, because there was nobody in my family that was acting, I said, I want to be like him. I want to use my hands the way Pacino uses his hands. I want to use, you know, my voice the way James Earl Jones uses his, or be as intense as De Niro. So those guys are the reason I'm in the game. So I wouldn't be sad if he won. I want to win. You know, I want to win. So maybe if there was a tie, it would be nice.
Which contact lens would you rather wear? One that's new once a year, or one that's new every 2 weeks? Introducing SureView from Johnson & Johnson. The Easy Care Daily Wear lens you replace every 2 weeks. Imagine, fresh, clean lenses every 2 weeks. No long-term buildup that can irritate your eyes. And a year only costs about what you pay now. Isn't it time you changed your lenses? SureView. Ask your eye care professional about a free trial pair.
The critics have opened their hearts to Jack the Bear.
The goulash you've all been waiting for.
This is a movie you won't be able to forget. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll have a wonderful time. Danny DeVito at his very best, heartwarming and brilliantly acted. Jack the Bear is a must-see. The first real people movie of the 90s.
Trick or treat.
Danny DeVito. Jack the Bear, rated PG-13, starts Friday at theaters everywhere.
Gentlemen, he is not a happy man. This Mercury Villager is outselling our minivan, and as his top design team, we have to do something about it. He wants a minivan with a sliding rear seat and standard anti-lock brakes. He wants a minivan that is fully equipped, comfortable, and drives like a Mercury.
Why doesn't he just get a Villager?
The new front-wheel drive Mercury Villager. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
Bellroom.
I live with the times. I expect progress, performance. Now, I've discovered a moisturizer so advanced it absorbs instantly and hydrates all day. New Plenitude Hydro Renewal Continuous Moisturizing Cream from L'Oreal.
Hydro Renewal is so creamy light, it absorbs instantly. Then, hydrating beyond ordinary beauty fluids, it delivers 12 continuous hours of skin-smoothing moisture.
New Plenitude Hydro Renewal from L'Oreal to reduce the signs of aging.
Tonight is Hollywood's big night, the 65th Annual Academy Awards.
Tomorrow, join us for complete coverage of the Oscars, from the stars' arrivals to their fashion statements.
Reports from the theater and from the hottest parties on Good Morning America tomorrow.
You won't believe what's happened to Delta.
A star is born.
She's back with a brand new look.
There's this woman, and she has developed this attraction for this guy she's known a while. Would it be all right for the woman to make the first move?
No, don't make no move. And a brand new show.
Are you happy? Do I look happy?
She's Delta the way you love her.
Would you like some sugar in that?
Just a little bit. The rip-roaring return of Delta. Following Roseanne, Tuesday, April 6th.
Would you tell us the nature of your relationship with Mr. Boz?
I had sex with him for about 1.5 years. I liked having sex with him. He wasn't afraid of experimenting.
Whatever you may think of the international blockbuster Basic Instinct, one thing is certain. Sharon Stone's performance is dead on.
You ever engage in any sadomasochistic activity?
Exactly what did you have in mind, Mr. Corelli?
The now famous interrogation scene occurs early in the movie, but one need watch no further to know you're witnessing the birth of a major movie star. Using female charm, male bravado, and a conspicuous absence of underpants, she reduces Michael Douglas and the rest of her inquisitors to a speechless stupor. By the end of the scene, she'd uncrossed her legs and opened up a world of possibilities.
It's nice.
Yes, she's always been pretty, even as a complex little girl growing up in tiny Meadville, Pennsylvania, the daughter of a factory worker. Her IQ so high that at 5 years old, she started second grade.
Hi, I'm Sharon Stone.
Like many actresses before her, a local beauty pageant provided the avenue out. After winning Miss Crawford County and competing in the state pageant, she signed with the Ford Modeling Agency. Sharon worked in Europe and starred in some popular commercials here in the States. Look familiar? But for the past 15 years, she's been right before your eyes in dozens of movies and failed TV series like Bay City Blues, where she got the coveted job of sleeping with a bedwetting baseball player.
It's not every night.
This is the third mattress since we've been married.
Yes, those were the good old days. Actually, her first feature was Woody Allen's Stardust Memories. A few seconds into the movie, she directs a kiss toward Woody, and that's about all. Insiders predicted she'd be a big star nearly 10 years ago, when she played an ambitious starlet in the comedy Irreconcilable Differences. She stole the show with her satire of a singing Scarlett O'Hara in a musical remake of Gone with the Wind.
This Civil War ain't gonna get me down. I'm moving my act to a brand new town.
From this came nothing.
I want to scream!
In movie after movie, she was little more than an appetizer.
We lost our virginity together. Did he tell you that?
She was continually cast as the other woman. You know the character. Pretty, does a nude shower scene, dead by the middle of the movie. In fact, if it hadn't been for director Paul Verhoeven and actor Arnold Schwarzenegger, who knows what might have become of her. In Total Recall, she was mean, tough. Seriously.
We're married.
Consider that a divorce.
She still died halfway through, but this time she left an impression on the movie screen and later on the pages of Playboy magazine. And when director Paul Verhoeven was looking for someone to play Catherine, an ice-pick-wielding bisexual psychotic killer in Basic Instinct, he took a chance on Sharon. Sharon took the chance of her life and proved she is an actress. She is now on Hollywood's front line, and that has brought her even greater exposure, both professionally and personally. She recently announced that at year's end she'll marry Bill McDonald, one of the producers of her next film, Sliver.
When you bring them up and bring them down, you're only using your biceps.
Am I beginning to look more like you? She's not taking stardom lying down. In her mid-30s, she knows she can only play the sex symbol for so long. In private life, Sharon is warm, kind, and surprisingly centered. She still lives in a one-bedroom house that she bought before she made it. But if her view of the San Fernando Valley hasn't changed, everything else has, even the way she sits in public. Sharon, that scene.
I don't even have to pretend I'm coy anymore. I know the scene.
I mean, how can you do an interview and not talk about that scene?
Yeah.
Did you know? I mean, you must have rehearsed it. Did they tell you to take the underpants off?
I didn't think I needed to have no underpants on when we shot the scene.
Yeah.
Because it was my understanding that it would be more illusory than it was, although it was actually more illusory than people think.
Mm-hmm.
But Paul said, oh, we're having a reflection of the white of your underpants. You're going to have to take them off. It'll just be dark. You won't see anything. I didn't know until I sat in the screening room watching it in a room full of strangers.
When it was finished?
When it was finished.
And?
I was so angry. I was so angry. Because, now this is the thing that's very difficult when I try to explain this to people. It isn't that I'm angry that you saw that or that he used that. Because if I was the director, I would think that that was appropriate for that character and I would use that piece. But I would have brought my actress in, I would have showed it to her in private, I would have had a very long talk, I would have heard her feelings. I wouldn't have done it the way it was done. It was the way it was showed to me that was so... I felt like I'd been slapped.
You felt betrayed?
I felt betrayed. Because when the picture started, obviously, this was a big risk for any woman who did this. And I said to him, I trust you. Yeah. And no matter what you ask from me, I'm going to try to do it.
And were you totally nude in the nude scenes?
Yeah. Sex scenes take forever to shoot. I mean, those couple of sex scenes, we spent 10 days shooting.
10 days of sex scenes.